What's up, YouTube? It's Kevin here, the Migraine Guy, bringing you a video today on what non-migraine sufferers need to know. So a fellow member of a Facebook migraine support group recently asked me to do a video on what non-migraine sufferers need to know. I'm not exactly sure the context that was surrounding this question, but I assume there's some sort of blowback in her life uh, uh, correlated with having frequent and chronic migraines. Either friends and family that are upset with her or disappointed that she can't attend as many functions as they'd want, or perhaps a coworker, coworkers, or boss or bosses who are upset that she is unable to perform at work. And so there's just some things beyond the basics of what migraines are. There's something about the migraine experience that non-migraine sufferers should be made aware of to helpfully evoke some sympathy. You don't have to understand, of course. No one should understand by experience how bad a migraine is because they're pretty terrible. But there are some things you can just hear what I'm saying and hopefully from that generate sympathy. So I'm going to stick to 3 things for this video, but as more things come up over the course of my reflecting on this topic, I will add more videos as needed. But so there are 3 things that I think non-migraine sufferers need to know. The first of which is that migraines are a neurological issue, a neurological disorder, even. And that means that your brain basically, at some fundamental level, operates different than our brains. And that doesn't mean that you're smarter or more stupid or more creative or less creative, not in those capacities, but in sensory capacities, for example. A migraine sufferer, for example, might not be able to ever enjoy a sunset precisely because seeing the sun, the brightness of the sun, will trigger a migraine that will be quite debilitating. Whereas for the non-migraine sufferer, they can reflect upon its beauty, enjoy the universe, etc., etc. There's just a fundamental difference in how the brains respond to certain stimuli. And just for what it's worth, migraine sufferers' brains tend to respond, tend to act very, very similar to the brains of seizure patients, people who get seizures regularly. Um, and so if you don't think migraines are that serious of an issue, then you shouldn't think seizures are that serious of an issue, and certainly think seizures are a pretty serious issue. So you should probably think that migraines are a pretty serious issue. Um, but yeah, it's a neurological disorder. There were some older theories that have been done away with that it was both a vascular and a neurological issue. It's pretty well established that it's a solidly neurological issue. So that means brains are involved in it. Means that migraine sufferers have very, very different brains in certain regards than the average quote unquote person. And so the fact that we have different brains to some degree, or at least differently functioning brains, should lend credence to giving us just a little bit of sympathy when we have migraines. The second thing to realize is that the medications largely out there are crap. Some people get 100% relief, 100% satisfaction with the medication they're given. The first general practitioner, the first doctor I went to, he got occasional migraines, 2 to 3 a year, and would pop what are called abortive medications, the kind of medication you take to give to fully stop your migraine from getting to that intense level. And they were fine for him, and he thought they'd be fine for me, but they weren't. And so the medications out there are pretty crummy. They fall into 2 categories: abortive, as I just said, and prophylactic or preventative. And so the abortive ones, as I said, you take to try and stop your migraine in its tracks. But the odd thing is that on a scale from 1 to 10, say, if your migraine's at about a 3 or 4 and you take the abortive medication, that might just stop it from getting to 5, 6, or 7. That doesn't mean it's going to take your migraine to 0. You might be stuck at the 3 to 4 level for the next day, at the very least, right? And then on top of that, there are the horrible list of side effects that the abortive medications can generate. I've got a short video on triptans, one of the most popular abortive medications. I'll put a link to that video, I don't know, here, and you can watch that if you want. But I, for example, if I take one of those abortive medications, get extremely dizzy. to the point where I wouldn't want to go walking long distances. I certainly wouldn't want to drive. I probably couldn't function too well or discuss anything with people too well. It's very debilitating, even though it stops the migraine pain sometimes. And so even if your friend, family, coworker who has a migraine takes medication for it, that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to function given the side effects of it. The other kind of medications, the prophylactics, the preventative medications that migraine sufferers take, also have a pretty serious list of side effects. Many of the medications given to migraine sufferers to help prevent them are either antidepressants, older style antidepressants, tricyclic, and those kind, as well as anti-seizure, anticonvulsant medications. And those medications play some pretty interesting tricks on the brain sometimes. Antidepressants, anticonvulsants, those are clearly brain drugs. And so you're messing with brain chemistry, and the list of side effects for those can be just as bad, if not scarier, than the ones with the abortive medications. And so the bottom line is, just because your friend, family, or coworker is taking medication doesn't mean that that's the cure, right? There's no silver bullet for migraines, prescription or diet or anything else. And so the idea that just because they have a pill, they should be okay is crazy. Finally, the main thing to get across is that migraine sufferers are in a tremendous amount of pain a large amount of the time. This isn't paper cut pain. This isn't step on a nail pain. This is brain pain. Hashtag brain pain. Imagine the worst amount of pain you've ever been in and cut it in half. Let's say 50% of that. And now imagine having that 3 times a week for a year. That's a lot. That's a lot to go through. Now imagine that on one of the days when you're having that intense amount of pain, you're supposed to go to work for 8 to 10 to 12 hours, or you're supposed to go to a family function, or you're supposed to go hang out with a friend. Certainly, in the initial stages, you might be able to tough it out. But after a while, going through high level amounts of pain over a long period of time just wears down your will. It gets to the point where sometimes when you're in pain, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to see anyone. You don't want to talk to anyone. You just want to get through the pain. And that should be perfectly okay. I would never, ever say that people who have migraines are going through the same kind of stuff that cancer patients aren't, because that's crazy. But if someone with a very debilitating illness were to tell you, I can't do something today because I'm in too much pain, you wouldn't hassle them about it. So when you start framing migraine as the kind of neurological disorder that results in high levels of frequent pain, that should generate a certain amount of sympathy as well. So those are the 3 things I think are most important to get across right now. As I said, as more things come up, I will certainly make some more videos about them. But until then, just be sympathetic to your migraine suffering friend, family, or coworker. They're going through a lot, and just reach out to them, do what you can. You don't have to pity them. I certainly don't want pity, and I can't imagine many other people who would. But we just need some sympathy and understanding that it sucks and we can't control it. So that's it.